Boo. Well, hello. Yeah, I'm sitting in my car. I don't know, let me try to get this light so it doesn't look so weird, but yeah, it's gonna look a little weird regardless. Yeah, I'm sitting in my car in the dark, holding a flashlight to my face. But yeah, I just got back from a friend of mine's house and we watched this movie called Ghost Story. Now, I have never seen this movie before, and I'd only just heard of it recently because she told me about it. And it was yeah, and she said that like it was made, I think, like in the very early 80s, maybe late 70s. Although I think she said 1980 was when it was made. So, like I said, this was my first time seeing this movie, and it was actually really the first time I'd heard about it. And again, it's called Ghost Story, and it actually stars Fred Astaire. Now, if you don't know who Fred Astaire is, he is somebody from the golden age of Hollywood. He was a famous dancer. He was in a lot of like those old movies from like the 40s, 50s, and he's in this kind of very early 1980, late 1970s horror film called Ghost Story. And he's one of the lead guys. And the story, so Ghost Story, it's about this group of old men, and they're called the Chowder Society. It does take place in New England, hence, New England chowder, I suppose. But yeah, they're called the Chowder Society, and once a month they get together and tell each other ghost stories, and they basically they try to scare each other that way. They try to kind of come up with these really creepy, scary stories, and and they all end up having these nightmares. They have trouble sleeping, and their wives think that it's because of the ghost stories that they get together and tell each other. Well, then there starts to be a bunch of mysterious deaths around them with certain family members, and all of them seem to have ties with this mysterious woman that seems to be following their family around, and she seems to have just something, it's like she's what they all have in common. And as we unravel and go through each of the men's stories, and things kind of start to unfold, it does take some very interesting twists and turns, I will say. And it's actually they did a pretty good job, I think, with writing and like the characterizations. And they also, the acting was actually pretty decent too. It was interesting seeing Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire was like the only one that I recognized, but I might look up everybody else and like see like what else they've done. But yeah, but like I said, the acting was actually pretty decent. And the thing about pre-CGI era like that is that they used practical effects, and some of the practical effects were actually pretty cool. And although there were a couple of moments where you could definitely tell they were in front of a green screen, and momentarily it kind of would take you out of the scene, but other than that, I mean, like I said, it was overall a pretty good movie. So if I had to describe the movie, I would probably say it was a combination of like one of those like old school British Gothic horror films that you would see like on the like BBC or something like that, or even like PBS. It was a combination of that with campy late 70s, early 80s horror. So it was kind of like a really interesting combination as far as as far as like the whole entire vibe of it goes, because like I said, like one minute it seemed like you were watching some type of like campy like 70s, 80s horror film, and then the next minute it was like you were watching like a Gothic horror film or something, like a well, it wasn't Victorian era, but something like that on, like, you know, like I said, like Masterpiece Theater or something like that. So it was kind of an interesting combination, but yeah, but I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It, like I said, there were definitely some interesting twists and turns there. And you know, yeah, if that sounds like it might be a movie you might want to try, I would recommend checking it out. So yeah, so it's called Ghost Story, and it was made in like late 70s, very early 80s. I believe somebody said it was like made in 1980 or something like that. So yeah, so like very early 80s. And yeah, but like I said, I do recommend watching it if that sounds like it might be up your alley. Okay, well, I just wanted to make this review really quick. And again, we're counting down to my 31 days of Halloween. And I'm going to be posting throughout the month of October every single day, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right, so I am going to sign off now and put my flashlight away. And yeah, I mean, have you seen the movie Ghost Story, or have you seen I don't know, just some really like campy 70s or 80s horror that maybe is a little more obscure that you'd recommend maybe checking out? I'd love to hear about it. So all right, yeah, I am going to put my flashlight away and sign off, and I will see you in the next video. All right, take care and stay spooky.